Well, that sucked.
So after watching the animated Disney classic The Little Mermaid and being pleasantly surprised by the direct-to-DVD The Lion King 2, I decided to sit down and watch some of the other direct-to-DVD Disney sequels, seeing as how a lot of them have a, let's just say, infamous reputation for being not very good. And seeing as how I just watched The Little Mermaid, I decided to go directly to its sequel, The Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea, and yeah, it's pretty bad. If The Lion King 2 was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, then The Little Mermaid 2 is just a surprise. A surprise in how bad it is. But in all seriousness, this really isn't going to be a long video because I don't have a lot to say about this. I know I've said in the past before that I really like it when you can find a really good bad movie that you can just dig into, but that's not this movie because this movie is just really mediocre, and that's why it's bad. And don't get me wrong, I can like a bad movie. I mean, I love The Room, and I love Birdemic, and I love The Rise of Skywalker.
And I'm all the Jedi.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
For the uninitiated, The Little Mermaid 2 is a direct sequel to the original, and it follows Ariel and Eric now on land, and they have a daughter, and yes, this is very stereotypical and formulaic, but I've said in the past before with the original Little Mermaid that formulaic movies like this can really work if you do them right, and unfortunately for this movie, it doesn't do it right. Now, I won't lie, I was digging it just a little bit in the beginning. The thing that I really liked about the beginning is it clearly set up that this is an inverse scenario to the first movie. You see, you have Ariel and Eric's daughter Melody, who is very clearly obsessed with the ocean, but is a human. And so there's this interesting dynamic that it's basically like Ariel again, except in reverse. Rather than being a mer person in love with the surface world, she is a human in love with the sea world. And that's kind of interesting. And that then means it's pushing Ariel towards the motherly role, basically making her another version of Trident. And in the beginning, I thought this would be really interesting, especially when there's a very clearly important scene of Melody going around in the ocean and swimming and catching a bunch of stuff, even though against her parents' permission. I thought we'd have another great scene, kind of like when Trident destroys Ariel's collection, where Ariel does that to her daughter, and then the whole story can be Ariel realizing that she's become her father and then getting over that. That's just a great arc that's an inverse of what happened before. But this is a family movie, and we can't have any family problems like that, so Ariel gets over her problems off screen, and Melody mostly solves all of her problems off screen, and all of that passion that was there before just is nowhere really to be seen here. There's no powerful I Want song like a part of your world. There's no powerful moments of Melody sort of taking the bull by the horns and making a decision like when Ariel signed the contract with Ursula to go to the surface world. And there's no real key reason for why she would want to do it. It's like it's checking the boxes of all of the things I talked about in the original, but there's no actual energy behind any of the decisions that are being made. Just about every character sucks too. Eric and Trident have nothing to do. They introduce new characters like this weird penguin and walrus who are purely there just to have weird comic relief that felt exactly like the Minions just years earlier, that were very unfunny and took away from the actual heart of the story and took away time from, you know, Ariel and Melody, which are the only two characters that are semi-good. I did like Melody quite a bit, just for the fact that she didn't really have any time to do anything, like, egregiously horrible. But then Ariel is okay, I guess. I mean, again, she sort of sets up an arc and then doesn't really do anything with it. Like, once it gets to the halfway point where Melody runs away into the ocean, she kind of doesn't have anything else to do. But before that, I did like her. Just a little side note, I completely forgot that Melody is voiced by Tara Strong, which, like, that's not really a problem for the movie. It was just, like, really strange to hear that.
Now that poor bitch will go back to her drab little life when I could have made her fun forever!
The main villain, Morgana, is just a worse version of Ursula in every way. She's not as funny, she's not as cool. And you remember how I used to applaud Ursula for having such an interesting and smart plan? Yeah, Morgana has nothing like that. Like, her plan is literally just, I'm gonna get this little girl to go steal her grandpa's trident, because she doesn't know that he's her grandpa, and, you know, not anticipate that literally anybody in the castle could be like, oh yeah, you're related to this guy, and your mom's gonna come say something. And then it gets even weirder when Ariel does show up, and at no point is like, oh yeah, this person you're working for and is trying to help you is literally the person we've been trying to protect you from for years. Like, why don't you say that, Ariel? That would solve like all your problems. And while it might sound like I'm nitpicking, the point I'm trying to make here is that whereas the original and even The Lion King 2 to a certain extent had a very airtight plot, this one just doesn't. It feels like it's just running down the clock and hitting all the beats to just extend watch time to have something of a narrative. And again, there are some little things in here. I did like melody a little bit. There are some okay songs, and there are scenes, particularly in the beginning, that I actually quite liked a bit. Like, there's one in particular that's coming back to me where Ariel is out in the gardens of the castle, and she puts her feet in the water for what I presume is the first time in years, and she has this little brief moment of happiness where you can tell, like, she wants to be back into the ocean, but she can't because she's worried about her daughter. It's a cute little moment, and it does really good nonverbal storytelling. Oh yeah, I also forgot there's a shark little minion guy for the main villain who's voiced by Clancy Brown, which was kind of distracting but also kind of funny because if he's in anything, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Pipsqueak.
Get that thing and hit me! One bite and he's shrimp toast! You fucking cocksucker! Another shot at that little prick!
Honestly, that's all I really got. Again, this wasn't going to be very long. I don't have a lot to say about this movie. It's very mediocre. It's very boring, which is the worst thing a movie could be. Again, I like bad movies, but bad, boring is not a very good mix. I am going to keep watching some of these direct-to-DVD Disney sequels, not only because a lot of other people haven't done reviews for these, but also I just kind of find them genuinely interesting. Like, yeah, there are good ones out there that I really like The Lion King 2, and then there's this one, which is just an interesting case study on, like, how you can corporatize a movie, because that's really what this movie feels like. It just feels like it was just made because the first one was so successful, and so they took every little, like, they dissected the original into its most important beats and then just redid them again without any of the passion or energy. Alright, I'm tired. 4 out of 10. Let's hope the rest of these Disney sequels are better.